What's up, you guys? Carlos Torek here. Fightful MMA, Fightful Boxing YouTube channel, lead boxing writer of FightfulBoxing.com. Here to give you do a little video on the PBC card that just happened right now. Jose Uzcategui versus Caleb Plant. This is not going to be the usual full-on podcast review where I'm going to go 40, 50, 60 minutes like I do with the big boxing shows. No, we're going to do something a little bit different where I'm going to do more of these types of smaller review shows for a lot of these boxing cards coming up in the next few months. Really, from now on, we're going to try to do shows with such as this one. We're only going to do maybe 10, 15, 20 minutes to briefly talk about the card that just happened. And in this case, it was the first PBC on FS1 card of 2019, Caleb Plant versus Jose Uzcategui, or Uzcategui, or whatever the announcer decided to give Jose on this night, because they gave him a million different last names, because I don't know why Uzcategui is not really that hard to pronounce. But regardless, we got a hell of a fight in the main event. Caleb Plant winning the IBF super middleweight title by beating Jose Uzcategui by unanimous decision, 116-110, 116-110, and 115-111 on all three judges' scorecards. I personally had a 115-111. So make sure, first of all, before we really get into this review, make sure to give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to our new Fightful MMA and boxing channel. Go to Fightful.com, where you get all your news on pro wrestling, MMA, and boxing. We got live coverage of Manny Pacquiao versus Adrian Broner next Saturday. Not only that, we also got interviews with Pacquiao, with Broner, Marcus Brown, and Badu Jack, who are fighting the co-main event for the interim WBA light heavyweight title. You can check all of that on our new Fightful MMA and Boxing YouTube channel, as well as Fightful.com and FightfulBoxing.com. But now tonight, the focus is on Jose Uzcategui and Caleb Plant, who had a hell of a fight in the second half of their bout. The fight started off with Caleb Plant really just decimating Jose Uzcategui for pretty much the first 5 rounds. Caleb Plant was just landing the left hook all night long. Really not, especially in those first 5 rounds. He pressured Uzcategui, didn't really give him any chance to breathe. We had the first knockdown in the second round when Uzcategui and Plant were trading punches, and Plant just landed just a vicious sweeping left hook, just pretty much sent Uzcategui down immediately. And I thought for sure that this may have been the start of the end for Uzcategui, but man, he proved out to be one very tough customer. But for those first 5 rounds, it was him just getting mauled by Plant. He was faster, he was more active, he was more aggressive. He pretty much did every part of boxing better than Uzcategui. They kept trading punches at times, but Plant would get the better of the exchanges. In the 4th round, we got another exchange of punches between both Uzcategui and Plant, and both men landed a left hook at the same time. But if you notice, Plant's left hook landed maybe a millisecond right before Uzcategui's, and Plant's left hook was way, way harder than Uzcategui's. And Uzcategui was dropped down the second time. It was, it looked like it was going to be a one-sided beatdown in favor of Plant. I mean, I had it after 5 rounds, 50-43. All 3 judges, looking at the scorecards, all 3 judges had it also 50-43 in favor of Plant. So really, it just kind of goes to show just how dominant Caleb Plant was in those first 5 rounds. But then, starting the 6th round, Uzcategui was starting to really kind of catch a second wind. He started to really take Plant's punches better, and he started to be the aggressor in that one. He was not just closing in the distance, but also really punching on the inside a little more often. He did not do as much as I thought he should have in that fight, in the second half of the fight, but he really did started to land really also his own left hook, and Plant was hurt a little bit, especially around 7th, 8th round. And Plant was just starting to look tired. It may have been because he threw way too many punches and really didn't pace himself throughout the fight. It really did look like from about round 6 to 9 that Uzcategui was really in control of the fight and really could have made it something interesting in the scorecards. But once we got into the championship rounds, Plant was starting to really catch his breath again, started to really not really do so much to dominate, but it was more even fight. It was harder to score the fights, the rounds in favor of Uzcategui. And really, I'm just looking right now at the official scorecards. It was kind of a little bit all over the place, especially in the second half of the fight. But generally speaking, you kind of got the sense that Plant was going to win this fight just on virtue of what he did in those first 5 rounds. Because looking at how everything was all set up, it looked like Plant was going to cruise to either a late stoppage, mid-fight stoppage, or even just a wide unanimous decision. And 116-110 is still somewhat wide, but those last 7 rounds, it was a much more even fight. Uzcategui really can take a punch. So is Plant. Both men are really tough customers to take out, and Plant just showed, first of all, he has such an incredible story. He is basically a newborn daughter, passed away almost immediately, and right as Plant's newborn daughter was getting buried, he made a promise that he was going to win the world title. It is a very touching. FS1 really hammered down on that story, on that angle, and Plant came on as such a sympathetic person, such a likable guy, and a great boxer. And there were some questions coming into this fight, is like whether or not his hand injury that he suffered for training camp last year, which postponed the fight till January 2019, whether or not that was going to affect him, whether the ring rust was going to be a factor, because Uzcategui Plant had not fought in 11 months prior to that point, which was a win over Porky Medina, and we really didn't know what to expect of Plant in this fight. But man, even then, I think a lot of people figured that Plant was a slight favorite, mainly because of the styles differences. I remember I was seeing the betting odds in some places. Uzcategui was a very small favorite. I'm talking like maybe a minus 125 favorite, while Plant was a plus 155 underdog. So really got to show just how even the fight on paper kind of looked. But Plant really did started to look like a better fighter almost from the start. He was faster, he's younger, he has not received as much punishment as maybe an Andre Durrell when Uzcategui fought him twice. No, at this point, Uzcategui was not really prepared, at least for that initial onslaught that we saw from Caleb Plant. And man, I'm really happy that Caleb Plant won. I'm really excited as to what the future holds for Caleb Plant. And Uzcategui, is still a really good super middleweight, but the night belonged to Caleb Plant. And this fight really also continued a very strange stat that I was sort of following as the night progressed. So this continuous streak of the IBF super middleweight title not being successfully defended in victory. The last time such an occurrence happened was April 2016, when James DeGale defeated Rogelio Porky Medina. So yeah, that was the last time someone defended the title successfully and won. Now remember, James DeGale successfully defended his title in January 2017 against Badou Jack, but that fight ended in a draw. So yes, technically he did retain the title, but he did actually win the fight. So now we're going on, in 3 months it's going to be 3 years since anyone successfully defended the IBS super middleweight title and won. We've had 4 different champions being crowned, guys like Uzcategui, who was elevated from inter-champion to full champion when James DeGale vacated the title last summer. James DeGale, when he regained the title off of Caleb Truax, who Caleb Truax beat James DeGale in late 2017 to win the title. So it's kind of been, someone was telling me on Twitter, this is a hot potato, and I thought this was the title's been changing hands like it was WWE Hardcore title 24/7 rule, when no one can seem to successfully defend the title and just pull out a name out of a hat, and chances are they probably held the IBF super middleweight title at some point. But Caleb Plant's looking really, really good. I think he's a very exciting fighter. He's a guy that I think FS1 really benefited from putting in the main event. And this was a very, very good card as far as stoppages, as far as seeing prospects, really exciting contenders, and Guillermo Rigondeaux returning to action. We'll get to that in just a sec. But now looking at how the 168-pound landscape is looking like, it's going to be a little hard for Caleb Plant to get the big fights that he wants in terms of unification fights, because the WBC title is currently vacant, but that's going to be, we're going to have a new champion pretty soon in the coming weeks on another PBC card between Anthony Durrell and Avni Yildirim. David Benavides, the WBC champion in recess, quote unquote, is going to be fighting Julian Love on March 16. And listen, we got in the WBA title that's with the Zone with Cal. I mean, the WBA super version of the super middleweight title belongs to Callum Smith, and Canelo Alvarez is the WBA regular super middleweight champion. And with the WBO title holder, with Gilberto Zurdo Ramirez, we don't know what's going to be the status of his title reign, because he's probably going to be waiting to see what happens between Elidel Alvarez and Sergey Kovalev for the WBO light heavyweight title that's going to take place in early February. Depending on how things go, Gilberto Ramirez could potentially vacate the title and move up in weight to fight the winner of that fight to try to hopefully win a title in a second weight class. So really, most of the big names at 168 pounds are really busy. Plant probably right now is going to be eligible to do an optional defense. And looking at the rankings right now, you got Vincent Feigenbutz, number 3, Peter Quillen, number 4, Fedor Chutinov at number 5, Caleb Truex at number 6, Arthur Abraham, number 7, Andre Durrell at number 8. Really not a lot of great names out there. For me, if I were to make a prediction, I think Peter Quillen could potentially be next in line to fight for the title. Peter Quillen is already in the top 4, and Peter Quillen is a guy who fights on PBC. He recently fought as a super middleweight a few months back on a PBC card in New York. And he's a former world champion. I would not be surprised if Peter Quillen would be next in line. In fact, I think that's going to be my prediction as to what's going to be Caleb Plant's first title defense. It's not a terrible fight, but I think it's not a very attractive fight. If you really put that on either Fox or FS1, I don't think it would make for a very appetizing main event. Maybe FS1, because they don't really get the big fight. This kind of looks like an FS1 main event. Caleb Truex, he could be another guy who could potentially challenge for the title next. He's a former world champion, and he had a really close fight against James DeGale in their rematch last year, I should say. So really, there's a few guys that I kind of think that would make for interesting fights. Maybe not exactly now, but later in 2019, maybe a guy like Bilal Akaway or John Ryder. I certainly think those could be interesting fights to put forward for Caleb Plant. But I don't know. I think if you ask me, it's going to be Peter Quillen or Caleb Truax, and I'm not a super huge fan of this. That's certainly not a fight that if you put on Fox, I don't think anyone's going to be really happy about that. But hey, this is not the only fight that happened on tonight's FS1 card. Guillermo Rigondeaux, he returned from a 13-month hiatus from the sport after losing to Vasily Lomachenko, and now he returns. He defeated Giovanni Delgado with just a vicious first-round knockout. That's good. That's the story of tonight. Vicious punches, dropping guys down. Rigondeaux lands a a left cross to Giovanni Delgado as time expired, a buzzer beater, and Delgado dropped, wasn't able to get back up, and the fight was stopped. Guillermo Rigondeaux wins his first fight since 2016, because if you remember, his 2 fights in 2017, one was against Lomachenko and he lost, and the other was against Moises Flores, and that fight ended in a no contest because Rigondeaux knocked him out after the bell sounded to signify the end of the first round. So it's not a knockout win. It was just simply a no contest, although some may argue that at the time it should have been counted as a disqualification. It was a very, very bizarre ending to that fight. If y'all remember from that was in June 2017, so that's how long it's been. But Rigondeaux looks good. He said he wants to come back to the ring in March. I don't know where he's going to stand in the super bantamweight rankings after tonight. We will find that out, I believe, in start of next month in February. But right now, I don't know if he is going to get a shot at a super bantamweight title anytime soon, because that division, first of all, since 2017, the division has really opened up, and there's been a lot of really good guys out there that really emerged as really solid stars at 122 pounds. You got Ray Vargas, who is the WBC champion, Tomoki Kameda, who is the interim WBC champion, Daniel Roman, who is the sole WBA champion, TJ Doheny, who is the IBF champion, and Emmanuel Navarrete, who is the WBO champion. As far as PBC is concerned, there's nothing for Rigondeaux as far as fights are concerned, because the zone pretty much has that division under lockdown. They got Ray Vargas. Actually, I'm looking at outside of Navarrete, they have all the full world champions because of Golden Boy and Matchroom Boxing being on the zone. And very recently, we just got TJ Doheny signing onto the zone. So quite frankly, there's been a lot of the top stars at 122 pounds that is linked up, or at least locked up on the zone. But someone on this card might potentially get a shot at the WBA title, and that is Brandon Figueroa, who won his fight at the start of the main card. Man, I gotta say, he looked sensational in this fight. He defeated Moises Flores to win this, in the fight. I believe it was in the 3rd round, and really he dropped him in the 3rd round. 2 times he's actually knocked Moises Flores down. He knocked him down in the 3rd round. After the second knockdown, Flores was down on his knees, did not look like he was going to get up anytime soon. Jack Reese said, put a stop to this contest, and Brandon Figueroa wins. Man, he looked tremendous in this fight. The speed, the stamina of Figueroa is really something to behold. He looks ready to face Daniel Roman, and this was a WBA super bantamweight title eliminator. So we could potentially see that fight sometime this year, but I don't know if we're going to get that fight next, because Daniel Roman is, he potentially has a title defense coming up against Murajan Akhmadaliev, who really, if you see that November HBO card from Atlantic City, he's good. He's a fun, entertaining fighter. That could be a nice little contest between Roman and Akhmadaliev. Although that fight has not been officially announced, I do expect it to be announced maybe the next week or in the next few weeks. I think we'll get that fight announced. So he's now the new mandatory challenger. Even beyond Akhmadaliev, Roman is probably going to unify against TJ Doheny if Doheny wins his fight against Ryohei Takahashi next week on a DAZN card from the Hulu Theater at Madison Square Garden. So it may be some time before Brandon Figueroa gets a shot at the title, but there is no doubt in my mind that Figueroa is ready for the challenge. He's ready for the fight. I think I speak for a lot of boxing fans when I say that Brandon Figueroa versus Daniel Roman is going to be a really, really fun fight. It's going to be certainly fast-paced, lots of action in between the two fighters, and hopefully we'll get that. I think we will get that fight, and I really hope that happened sometime 2019. That super bantamweight division, boy, that's really something that boxing fans should watch out for. The Zone has a lot of the champions. Tomoki Kameda is a really fun fighter. I think I recommend anyone watch his last fight against Pechsor Freshmart or Pechsor Cheat Patani, depending on how you pronounce his last name. Well, not pronounce his last name, or it depends on what last name you use, because it seems like there's a million different names for him. But regardless, there's a lot of good stuff to come out of this PBC on FS1 card. We also got guys like Joey Spencer looking good, winning his fight in the second round. We got Ahmed El Biali, who defeated old man Alan Green, who he's a former world title challenger. Boy, Alan Green, he should stop. He should not fight anymore. I think he should hang it up. He's 39 years old. He had one fight prior to this after coming out of a 5-year-long hiatus from the sport. He came in way overweight, even if there's no title involved, and even though you don't necessarily really need to be 100% strict on the 175-pound limit, he came in 178.5. He looked sloppy. He did not look like he was into it. I'm not knocking him for him trying to make a payday, but boy, this is not the way to go. It was sad to watch. I didn't like it. It was really, really bad watching Alan Green out in the ring. And man, I don't know what to say. It was sad. And also on the prelim card, we also got Lindolfo Delgado looking good as a undefeated junior welterweight prospect. He defeated Sergio Lopez in the third round with a big stoppage, 8-0, 8 knockout victories. Right now, looking like it's a really was a nice, fun card. We got a excellent main event. We got stars from the past, future stars, prospects, current contenders. You got a little bit of everything on this card. So really, as far as, me evaluating, giving this a grade for this first PBC card of 2019, I definitely give this maybe a B plus. There's a lot of good to take away. Not a lot of great stuff to come out. Like, for example, this is some of the opposition of these fighters. Joey Spencer, he beat Brandon Harder, but man, this. I know what PBC is trying to go for. PBC is trying to get Joey Spencer to be this next big star, and they're trying to expose him to a national audience as much as possible. But this does not feel like a fight that needed to be on TV. Same with the Alan Green fight. Alan Green, boy, he's a former world title holder, but that felt like a million years ago. He should not be fighting anymore, if you're to ask me. But rest of the card looked good. I think it looked sensational, and yeah, I really do love it. Head on over to Fightful.com and FightfulBoxing.com for the latest news on boxing, as well as pro wrestling and MMA. As I mentioned, next week we got Adrian Broner versus Manny Pacquiao for the WBA regular welterweight title. That's going to be on pay-per-view. A quadruple header of title fights taking place on that pay-per-view. You got guys like Jack Tapora against Hugo Ruiz for the interim WBA featherweight title. Marcus Brown versus Badu Jack for the interim WBA light heavyweight title. Rashid Warren versus Nordin Ubali for the vacant WBC bantamweight title. Lots to watch out for on that fight, especially this month of boxing. We got the Zone cards, ESPN Plus, Showtime pay-per-view. We got even UFC Fight Pass getting into the boxing game with a title eliminator, 115 pounds at the end of the month between Aston Palite and Jose Martinez. Go to FightfulBoxing.com. I did a full article kind of highlighting what to watch out for in boxing, where to watch out for some of these big boxing cards for this month. I even made a video about it, and you can see it on our new Fightful MMA and boxing channel. But for now, I'm tuning out. Hope you guys had a wonderful evening. Hope you guys enjoyed the boxing and the NFL playoff that had occurred earlier today. Carlos Toro here of FightfulBoxing.com signing out, and I will see you for Adrian Broner versus Manny Pacquiao. We will do a review show. I don't know when. I don't know if it's going to be immediately after the main event or the day after, but we will do a review show. And until then, hope you guys had a wonderful weekend. Have an excellent week, and Have a great month of boxing. Have a great year of boxing. Carlos Toro signing out.